Good morning, everyone. This is Praveen. Today we are in a third day of VasuDhyana Kutumbam program. Uh, we have in this third day we are talking about law of karma. The objective of this program is how the spiritual laws can be practiced easily and how we can teach the spiritual laws with our kids. Right? That's the intent of this program. APMA is experimenting this program in terms of how to create an awareness uh, with the kids, right? For the kids. So it's a law of karma, right? The moment we talk about a karma, lot of bandages or the past impressions will come. In reality, karma is nothing but an action. Sanskrit word. It has a lot of connotations that attach to it. But so Deepak Chopra, this entire program is based on Deepak Chopra's seven spiritual laws and practicing as seven spiritual laws books. Okay. So karma is cause and effect, right? In a simplistic way. And when does the cause and effect come? When we act upon certain thing. So the action will produces an effect. There is nothing about a good or a bad. It's just the action creates an impact in the environment, right? So that's all it matters. So every action that we perform is going to create an impact. Or in other words, you sow, you reap what you sow, right? There is nothing about a good or a bad. If you put a mango plant, you will get a mango tree. If you put maybe a rose flower, you will get a rose plant, right? You'll get a seed of a rose flowers, you'll get the rose flowers. That's all it is. Or if you don't make it a garden, if you just leave the garden barren, the garden will be like that. So there is no one to punishing, and there is no one who is actually rewarding. It is our action is determining the results in a future. The future could be immediate second, immediate future, or maybe lifetimes after, depending on the specific type of an action. So when we look at it in this manner, then we are giving the control to ourselves. Because oftentimes we feel when things are good, we feel we actually own the goodness, but things are bad, we give that blame or a badness to someone else who is trying to control us. You could give that name to as a karma, you could say God, you could anything, right? Whatever you do not like, you'll attach. But in reality, if even if the good or a bad, it's directly resulting from our actions. So in a simplistic way, what the author says is, rather than looking at it, treat it like a law of karma as a good and bad, just consider it as a choice-based system. You make a choice, and based on the choice, whatever is the right thing for the choice, the nature will decide the right thing, and just you work on, you basically face those consequences. Again, consequences is not a negative action. It is basically the result of a choice. That's all I think we could put it that way. So again, the word itself doesn't really have any negativity, but over the period of time, certain words are associated with certain negativity. So we just trying to make it a very neutral, very objective, so that we understand the essence of the spiritual laws rather than uh, feared or worried by the specific negativism associated to that. So now, when you take a law of choice, right? now in this program, we are trying to teach how we can talk about the spiritual loss to the kids. So everyone makes lots of choices daily, right? So today we will try to perform 3 tasks based on this. The first task is, can ask our kids what kind of a choice they've made today, right? So I live in Atlanta. So I'll just give an example. Today weather is cold, but yesterday weather was rainy. Day before yesterday it was hot. So in the morning, if I wake up and want to wear clothes based on day before yesterday's conditions, then I mean, it becomes basically I will put a very lightweight t-shirt and I feel cold. Is if I make the decision myself, not consciously, but just unconsciously based on day for yesterday's experience, then I'll feel cold. Is there anyone punishing me? No. Yeah, how did that came? Based on my action. And how did I make that action? Is it a conscious action? No. It was an unconscious action based on day before yesterday's data, not today's data, right? Same. Let's say if I make that conscious choice, what is today's weather and what kind of a clothing is suitable for today's weather, then I'll feel comfortable about it, right? See, in both of these actions, no one is rewarding me, no one is punishing me. I'm just making a conscious choice and I'm reaping the rewards or the consequences based on the actions. That's all it is. The entire universe works like that. Sometimes, again, in the example that I quoted, it is very simple because we remember day for yesterday, we remember today. So the action and consequences easy. But if the distance is vast, right? Let's take another example. Let's say our kids are not really focusing on studying in the beginning of a school year. That is fine. That is their choice that they are making. But when the moment when we get to the exam time, and if the kids start feeling panic about why am I not really getting it? Why my friends are remembering better and all of that, complaining about it, will that make a right? Will that be justifiable? No, because if you have put in your effort in studying for the exam, you feel easy for the exam. Again, I'm not promoting that you have to study hard and all. I'm just only trying to make explanation or an example easy to understand, right? And if you don't really study at all in the all these months or years, you feel little painful about it. So what we're trying to say is, it's all about a choice. It's how our choice will determine the results or consequences in the future. So based on today's action, tomorrow or future's reality will be determined. That's all it is, right? There is no entity upon us who is actually dictating how he should be rewarded or punished. It is just our actions will dictate our reality in the future. Okay. So the first example, as I mentioned, you could ask your kids and talk about what kind of a choices that they made. Maybe the kids may say that I have not made any choice. But in reality, every moment, every second, we make choices. So how consciously we are making a choice is a point. It is not about whether the choice is good or bad. It's about consciously you make a choice. That's first. And yeah, maybe for a dress example, yes, it's obviously it is not about a good or bad, which is okay. But sometimes we can make some maybe let's say take a scenario where you went to a school, maybe a kid went to a school, but one of the kids' friend ask the kid to bunk the class, right? The kid will have a choice. Should I bunk the class or should I continue to attend the class? So at one point, heart will says, yeah, it is cool to bunk the class. Yeah, that is fine. Or what is what the kid supposed to be there? What supposed to do? Supposed to go to the class. So when sometimes the contradictory choices comes, you or kid or anyone, basically whoever making the choice, should ask the heart, what kind of a choice is in the best interest of me? It is not about the result. It is about what is in the best interest of me. If you can take a decision or the choice based on the best interest of yourself, then you feel good about it. And again, this is not about a good or a bad. This is not about a win or a lose. I'll repeat with another example. Let's say you're playing a game. Maybe you have two teams are playing. Let's assume that. So you choose all the strong people in your team and you won. Your team won. Maybe other side, they wanted to give opportunity to the weaker people and they lost, right? So if you celebrate success, right, because you won, that's one way of looking at it. Or you could also feel that I've not consciously given the opportunity to the weaker team in my team, and I'm celebrating a success, right? That's another way to look at the same event. So it is the law of action or karma is not based on the result, whether it's a lose or a win. It's about the choice. So what kind of a choice that you made and how did you feel about making that choice? And am I making the right choice? That's all matters. It doesn't matter whether you win a lottery or you lose money or whatever it is for doing whatever you're supposed to do. So often, I mean, awfully, in reality, most of the mankind is focused on results. And that is the reason in today, the biggest person in village or in town or in the society is often a biggest villain or a biggest gunda or wealthiest person, not the most gentle, noblest person. They will be treated as for granted. So that's the kind of a reality that we are living in. So it makes little difficult to turn over, but consciously, when we make a move, focusing from action or result to a feeling aspect, then we feel good about it and we feel we don't really regret about any of the past because we're wholeheartedly took the action, took the responsibility, and experiencing the result of an action that we took it wholeheartedly. So in this manner, you don't really have any regrets. I would ask you, maybe once you ask your child about the action you've taken, you talk about one of the choices that you made in the past, how you felt it, what is the result of the choice, and what is your experience. Again, underline the word experience, not about a good or a bad. So you made a choice. Once upon a time, I made a choice to come to US, and I'm living in US. If I continue to complain that I wish I was in India, then that is not really suitable to anyone because I made the choice and I'm living in this country. No one forced me to come to US, right? So similarly, again, there is nothing about a good or a bad, nothing about a bad about US or great about India. Basically, all of them are same. It is just an experience. So often at times we complain that our employer is actually so harsh. But in reality, no one is forcing us to work in that particular employer or an employee, right? You choose to join in a particular organization you wanted to work, and the conditions or whatever the terms are given by that employer, and you needed to wholeheartedly accept that particular decision. So oftentimes people always complain that I didn't get the salary hike. That was okay. Salary hike was not given by the employer due to the certain conditions. So what I'm trying to say is we should not continue to complain or complain about things for the decisions that we made. We just accept we experience the decision, whatever it is, the decision, and just move on with that. Right? So again, I just brought up the work example so that it will resonate for everyone. Now the same goes with the kids. Kids also make this many choices in terms of what with whom they wanted to mingle, what kind of subjects they want to study, what kind of how they wanted to organize their maybe weekends. So all of that, right? What kind of a cosmetics they wanted to buy or put upon. So everything should be conscious choice and based on what they feel, and with that at least it gives them the sense of ownership, the sense of a control, and the sense of fairness. Normally what happens when you don't own the action, you feel there is a sense of unfairness. That is the reason I gave that example of a employer and other aspects, because oftentimes people complain about unfairness, but in reality, everything is fair in this world. Just that sometimes some of those actions cannot be really seen so easily. So I think with that, I want to end today's program. But I just wanted to repeat, there are 3 tasks that we wanted to perform today. The first task is ask your kids what choices the kids made today and what were the thought process, how they felt about it. Ask those questions. Do not judge anything, because judgment will take their sense of ownership or sense of discernment, right? Instead, they feel obliged to feel in a certain way instead of their own way, right? So do not ever judge anything. And it's often it's a very difficult thing to do, but that is what I think we needed to practice upon. The second task, you talk about what you have done in the past, what kind of a choice you made, and explain about the result of the choice, and do not use the word good choice or a bad choice. You just explain that choice result that gives them a good demonstration. And the third is talk to your kid on how it feels to make one choice over other, right? What kind of a framework that you have to use when you are making one choice over other, right? Always encourage them to make a conscious choice, and always, if there are 2 consequences, always ask them whether the choice that I'm making, will it is going to help me in the best interest of my growth, and if sometimes uncertain, ask for a heart for guidance, right? So if the kid is too young, just ask for a feel, because the feeling comes mostly generated by the heart. And if the kid is maybe a 14, 15 years old, you could ask for a heart. You could also suggest that. So most of the times, heart suggests certain things, which is certainly aligned in our best interest. So with that, we will conclude today's program. I hope you will enjoy this activity with your children, and let's have another spiritual work session. Continue to have. Thank you so much for listening.